You know that feeling, right? That knot in your stomach the second you see a math problem? Well, that feeling has a name. It's called math anxiety. And today we're going to break down exactly what it is, why it happens, and most importantly, how you can beat it. It's a really weird thing to see, isn't it? You've got a student who is just brilliant in every other subject, but the moment a math equation comes out, they just freeze. This isn't them being lazy, and it's not a lack of effort. It's a very, very real thing that affects millions of people. So let's get right into it. What is math anxiety? Because we need to be clear, this is way more than just not liking a subject. It's a genuine emotional response, and really understanding that is the absolute first step to getting past it. Okay, so at its core, math anxiety is this real gut-level feeling of fear or tension. It's not a logical thought process where you think, oh, this problem looks hard. Nope, it's an immediate emotional reaction. And that tells you the solution isn't just about memorizing more formulas. It's about learning to manage that feeling. And this, right here, is probably the biggest myth we need to bust. I love this quote from a teacher with over 30 years in the classroom. Math anxiety has nothing to do with how smart you are. Let me say that again. Your ability to solve an equation is not, and never has been, a measure of your intelligence. So if it's not about being smart, then what's really going on? Well, the answer is all about emotion. We've got to unpack the roots of this, because at its core, this whole thing, it's all about fear. Seriously, the numbers on the page, they're not the problem. The equations, the fractions, the decimals, they're just symbols. The real enemy here, the real obstacle, is the fear that gets triggered the second we look at them. So what are we actually afraid of? Well, it usually starts with a simple fear of making a mistake. Then that grows into a fear of being judged by teachers, by parents, by our friends. But the deepest, most damaging fear is often the one we turn on ourselves. That little voice in our head that says, maybe I'm just not good enough. And look, this anxiety doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's more like a slow burn. It can start with something so small, a single harsh comment from a teacher, or a test covered in red ink. From that one bad experience, a seed of self-doubt is planted, and over time it grows and grows, until eventually a student just stops trusting their own ability to think. And this leads to a really dangerous shift in thinking. A student goes from having a temporary problem, like, I didn't understand this one question, to creating a permanent identity. I am bad at math. And once you believe something is a core part of who you are, it feels absolutely impossible to change. Okay, so now let's talk about the science, because that freeze response you feel, it isn't just in your head. It's a real, measurable thing happening in your brain. This is just mind-blowing. Research has actually shown that for somebody with math anxiety, even just thinking about a math problem can activate the exact same parts of the brain that light up when you feel physical pain. So that dread you feel, your brain is literally reacting as if it's being hurt. It's wild. And that brain activity kicks off very real physical symptoms, right? You get the sweaty palms, the racing heart, your mind just goes totally blank. But here's the kicker. At the same time, the logical, problem-solving parts of your brain actually become less active. Your brain is literally shutting down the very tools you need to solve the problem. No wonder it feels impossible. So let's be crystal clear here. For anyone who's ever felt this or has a kid who goes through this is not a character flaw. It has nothing to do with being lazy or incapable. It is a genuine, documented anxiety response, just like having a fear of heights or a fear of public speaking. So we've laid out the problem, and it might sound a little bleak, but here's the good news. It is totally fixable. So now let's talk about the path out of this fear loop and back to a place of confidence. This is honestly the most hopeful part of this whole story. Math anxiety isn't something you're born with. It's a learned behavior. And you know what that means? Anything that is learned can be unlearned. To unlearn that fear, we have to completely change our goals. The point isn't to be the fastest or to get a perfect score. No, the real foundation for learning is building confidence first. It's about genuine understanding before you worry about marks. You get those things right, and trust me, the speed and the grades will take care of themselves. So what does this actually look like? Well, there's a really simple patient method called I do, we do, you do. It's great. First, the teacher just does a problem, explaining their thinking out loud. The I do. Then they solve problems together with the student. The we do. And only when the student truly feels ready and confident do they try one on their own. The you do. It replaces all that pressure with pure support. All right, let's wrap this up with a new way forward. Because beating this anxiety isn't just on one person, it really takes a partnership between students, parents, and of course, teachers. If you're a student watching this, please hear this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are not bad at math. It is so much more likely that you just haven't been taught in a way that clicks with your brain and builds you up instead of tearing you down. And for all the parents out there, this is so important. More pressure is the absolute last thing your child needs if they have math anxiety. What they need from you is patience. They need your encouragement. And more than anything else, they need to know that you believe in them. So let's just end with this thought. What would happen if we all just stopped fearing math and instead just focused on understanding it? What if we replaced all that anxiety with a little bit of curiosity? Just imagine the potential we could all unlock.